Hi, how are you?
Hey, Adam, I'm great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm really excited to talk to you about your new song and how you got into music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Staying caffeinated.
Yeah, as you could hear the coffee from all the way around. I was like, yeah, I'm a big, huge coffee person. So I'm just finishing off. I drink maybe about that much of one of
Oh
these every
my.
day. I know it's a lot. And it's less. I used to back pre-pandemic, like whole thing, and that would be like before 9 a.m. So I think if I did that now, I'd have a heart attack. But I'm usually like pretty steady stream of caffeine until 1 p.m. So you're catching
That's
me right at the
awesome.
tail end. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So are you're originally from Canada, correct? What part of Canada did you grow up in?
I am, yeah. So I'm from a town called Oakville, just outside of Toronto,
Okay.
maybe like 30 minutes outside. It's very well known for being one of the richest suburbs in North America. That
Oh,
was
is it
not my
really?
oh yeah. That was not my experience growing up. So anyone who's from kind of the east coast of Canada will say, if you say Oakville, they're like, oh,
Like
like I knew people in high school
Hamptons or
that got
something?
yeah, exactly. Like I knew people who got like Maseratis for their 16th birthday. That was not my experience at
Sure. But
all.
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, but I grew up, I was right outside of Toronto. So that's kind of where I started going to shows and going to see music. It was close enough that I could go in and out on the train. So that was really great.
That's awesome. Well, I'm fascinated by this fact that this area has so much money. So
Oh
like
yeah.
you're going to school with, was it weird? Like you said that you weren't in that like category as far as like that,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, my family was middle class. Both of my parents are they work in the education system. My dad's a teacher. My mom works in admin in elementary schools.
Oh, awesome.
And so there was a pretty big gap because I had a high school that served a pretty large area, people north of the highway and south.
Mhm.
And so south of the highway was kind of more around, my tax bracket, little bungalows and stuff. And then you get
Sure.
north and like big hunkin' townhouses. And so there was a pretty substantial class gap between the people I went to high school
Yeah.
with. Yeah, which was
Whoa.
not the best. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's just so interesting to me. Well, how did you get into music? I know Toronto's big music scene.
It is, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
a couple of different places, as so many musicians do. I come from a very musical family. My dad's a singer-songwriter, so he makes
Oh,
his
wow.
yeah. So he makes his music under the name Rescue Dog, named after one of our family pets. And he
A
makes
rescue dog?
yeah, exactly. So he's been writing songs since way before I was born. He was in a band growing up in when he was a teenager.
Would
So
you go see his band play?
I have not. I've only seen him play solo. I haven't seen him play with a full band, but I'm hoping post pandemic that's going to be maybe we'll do
Yeah.
a double bill together. That would be so
That'd be so
awesome.
rad. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
so you seen him play, like he still did shows up until the pandemic?
Yeah,
Like
he would
solo?
do he's he's in his 50s now, so he's a little bit more reserved. He writes a lot of music and he would do this yearly show out. He's from Prince Edward Island, and so he usually we'd go back home for the summer and he would play one show and then all of his buddies from university and all the family would come out
Sure.
and I sing with him there. We do covers together and stuff. So that was
Wow.
probably my first introduction into writing music and songwriting. He was probably one of my biggest earliest influences. And then my mom, she was in her youth a ballet dancer. So she was would listen to a lot of CBC classical radio. She was a
Mhm.
huge jazz fan. So those were kind of like my earliest. I was always in a house that was full of music. Sometimes multiple musicians playing at the same time, which in a small
Wow.
house would get very noisy.
That's awesome. So when you started writing music, did your dad kind of help you like structure songs and stuff, or was it
I
not
rem-
really that?
I remember I think I came to him with the first song I ever wrote when I was maybe 12. He'd got me a guitar for Christmas. And he has always been very much a hype man first, critic second.
Okay.
I remember I came to him with that song, and he listened to it, and he left the room, and he said, "Tanya, it's my mom." He goes, "Julia just wrote something that's as good as I anything I've ever written."
Wow.
So he was always, both of them have been so supportive of all of my musical endeavors. So yeah, but every so often I'll bring a demo to him and he's like, okay, this is good, this is not so good. He's definitely not afraid to give his opinion,
That's
which is
good. I'm sure that
yeah,
helps instead of being
super
like, this
helpful.
is the best song I've ever heard, like on everything you do. How
Exactly.
how much, is that helping you?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone has like, their group of friends or people that it's like, okay, if I need someone to tell me that this is awesome, I'm gonna shoot it off to my girlfriend.
Right, right,
She'll write
right.
back and she'll be like, I love it, it's great. And then
Sure.
obviously you need people to be like, okay, yeah, this is good, but this needs work. I think that's really important so you don't get to keep you humble when you're writing.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so you got the guitar. Did you say 11?
Yeah, I think around 11 or 12 I got my first acoustic guitar. So I started playing all like open voicing like, G, C, D,
Right.
which is still very much I think the building blocks of a lot of the stuff I write.
Right.
I use a lot
Totally.
of
Well,
open voicing
I see a
chords.
keyboard next to you. Did you learn piano first, or was
Yeah,
guitar
so
the first instrument?
yeah, well, I started taking piano lessons. I took them on and off from ages maybe 8 to 15. So I'm a mediocre piano player at best. I can do like little bit of classical, but I'm a vocal teacher, so I do like, I do
Oh,
a lot of
awesome.
root position chords, a lot of arpeggios, but beyond that. So I play, but I'm good enough that if I'm doing a demo and I'm like, okay, I want a little bit of acoustic piano on this, I can,
Noodle
get
around enough.
or like to use it as a MIDI for synth, I can do that for sure. So I play, yeah, piano and guitar. So those are usually my building blocks when I write.
Amazing. Well, that's fantastic. How did you get into voice, like teaching voice? Did you take a lot of chorus and choir and all that growing up?
Totally. Yeah. So I grew up, I was a choir kid. I was straight from like the age of, oh my God, probably six or seven. My
Okay.
parents, I was that young and singing. So they put me in a choir and I was in a choir up until I graduated high school at 18.
Wow.
And the choir that I was in did a lot of classical music. So this is where kind of my interest split, where I was like, wow, like I love indie rock and I love listening to bands and writing music, but I also grew a really, really large appreciation for classical singing. And that's what I'm in school for now. I'm in my last semester at Concordia University in Montreal doing
Wow.
classical voice. So I sing opera.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you so much.
Wow.
So, obviously, neither an opera singer nor an indie rocker is an extremely financially lucrative career. So I was like, okay, we need something stable, right? So
Sure.
I have 17 private voice students that I see every week. And I do everything. I teach. So I have classical students. I have recording artists that come and see me to learn more about mic technique and stuff like that. I have musical theater people. Like get my hands on it, and I will sing it. Is kind of my my
Wow.
motto.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
Wow. Um, Learning opera, that must have been pretty difficult. I mean, you have to be able to sing in different languages, right?
Yeah, so I sing in right now I'm working on a 45-minute classical vocal recital for my graduating project and I'm singing in Italian, French, German, English. I think just four. Those are the main four. Yeah, French, Italian, German, and English. So,
Wow. Do you speak
yeah.
French since you being from
Yes,
Canada?
yes. Je suis tout complètement bilingue, so I speak both French and English. I live in Montreal, so it's not impossible to get by here in English, but it's a hell of a lot harder. So I do speak.
Really?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's a lot of French.
Yeah, you'll run into, people you'll go into a store maybe in a very French neighborhood and I'll be like, "Oh, hey, can I get a coffee?" And they either, they'll give you a dirty look or like they won't want to talk to you in English or just so
Oh.
it's good to have enough to get by. That being said, I get a lot of like accent judgment. Usually after a couple of phrases, I think French people can usually tell I'm not from here, and then they do the switch to English, which is I think meant to be polite, but it's a little like okay, well, I guess I'm not good enough.
Right, right. But you could speak it fluently.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
interesting
I
that
would say
they
I
just
would say like
critique your dialect, so to speak. But
yeah, exactly, exactly. They'll be like, "Oh, you're English." Okay, I'll be like, "All right, okay, I guess we're in English now. It's easier for me, right?" But
what was
yeah,
your
I
was
had
English your first language?
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm
I'm
going off a
from
rant here, but I'm so
ah,
curious
no,
about this.
no, all good. Yeah, so I grew up speaking English at home, and then I started taking French immersion in Canada. It's a program you do half of your day in French, half of your day in English. So I took that from like grade 5 to grade 12.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that gave me a really, really good foundation. I came here, and so there's sometimes Quebecois people will have super heavy accents that if they talk really fast, I'm like, yeah, I'm lost. I can't get
Oh,
it.
okay.
But other than that, I can get by. I've worked in bars here, like no problem. So that's been super helpful. I would love to at some point write in French and English, and that's something that I would love to explore musically at some point.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, I want to rewind it back a bit. So you got the guitar, 12 years old, you're already playing piano. When did you start? When was that first song written that you brought to your dad?
I think I was, yeah, probably around 12 or 13. I think I even remember it was like I was walking down the street, looking at my feet, you passed me by. I can't remember the rest of it, but that was the opening. I wrote I was looking for attention, sitting in detention. You know, I was like 12. Like,
That's pretty good
like
melody
really,
though.
really, yeah. So that's when I started. I was kind of on and off. I wrote some songs in high school. And then it was really not until I moved to Montreal, which is like the band capital of Canada. Everybody and their mother is in a band here. Like,
Oh, really?
oh yeah, totally. And I was like, you know what? I'd been dating dudes in bands for a while, and I'd been thinking for a while, I'm very musical. I feel like I could do this just as good, if not better, than these guys that I'm dating, right? So
Right.
I was like, I made it a New Year's resolution. I was like, okay, 2018, I'm starting a band. And so I did, and
Okay.
that was when, which is my project now, Favorite Daughter. And so that was when the writing really started to pick up. I used to do very collaborative things with my bandmates, and then the dynamic kind of shifted, and then it was kind of just I was the last one left standing after a couple of lineup changes. So I was like, okay, I guess it's mine now. It's a solo project.
Oh, sure. Okay, so that I was going to say I thought it was a solo project, but it
Yeah.
started out as a band.
Yeah, exactly. So it was an kind of like an all girl, like almost like a like emo and punk influenced project,
Oh, rad.
called Hildegard. After I don't know if you're familiar with Hildegard von Bingen, who was one of the
Uh-uh.
earliest female composers, like in the year like 1100 or something. So
Whoa, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So we named ourselves after her, and we were all like 2021, and we had a super collaborative writing setup where the drummer and the guitarist and I would all kind of like pitch lyrics and melodies and ideas, and it on paper sounded like a great idea, but I think as anyone who's ever been in a band knows, if you got too many cooks in the kitchen,
Right.
tends not to work out super well. So, things didn't work out with the drummer, and then they didn't work out with the guitarist, and so things just kind of kept shifting, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, I'm the only one writing songs, like full songs.
Mhm.
But I'm super grateful for that period of collaboration, because I think at the time what I needed was other people to kind of validate my ideas, and to help me kind of come into my own as a songwriter.
Sure.
But So that's kind of where the shift happened. So yeah, but we had a lot of fun. We did an EP.
Oh, okay. I was gonna that was my next question. Did you guys record
We
and like play
did.
shows and stuff?
Yeah, we made it in the three of us. We met in January, and then we were all looking for a new place to live for May, and so we ended up like signing a lease together. We got this like big kind of like student housing-y 3-bedroom apartment in the plateau here in Montreal, and we just for the whole summer we would like practice every day, and we did like basically like a bedroom EP that was like super scrappy, and we mixed it and put it out ourselves on Bandcamp, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was really cool, and it's definitely very different than what I do now, recording wise. But yeah, it was great. And then yeah, similarly to what I said before, the dynamic of having so many cooks in the kitchen, also everyone's living together, like it just
Mhm.
it didn't end up working out for no.
Recipe for disaster sort of.
Exactly. Like fights and people storming off to the room, and it was very, we're all like 20-year-old university students. It was very, very
Right.
dramatic, right? But like I said, if you listen, actually I just recently listened back to that EP. It's very different than what I do now. There's a lot more grunge influence. I do a lot of like yelling and stuff, which is not very common in the stuff I write lately. But it was great. We were all like young, and we would play shows like literally as much as we could. We were like trying to book and get into bars, and like
Mhm.
I made a lot of like really good music connections and friends that I still am very close with now. So that was kind of how we got I got everything lifted off playing here. Of course, no one's playing now, but
Right, right, right. So where were you when that were did your band disband by the time the pandemic hit? Were you already doing this as a solo artist?
Yeah, so I have a drummer and a bassist. I have two
Mhm.
my good friends Sam Donald and Ed Scrimger. And they're like, I'm keeping them forever.
They're not allowed to leave the band.
I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere. They're good friends of mine. They are awesome players, and they know that whatever Julia says goes.
Nice.
They're on board with me long term, which is great because hopefully, this summer things are going to start opening again, and all I need is my guitar and a drummer and a bassist, and I'm good to go. But yeah, at the time when everything kind of shut down, I had a new lineup. I had they were playing with me, and then my other friend Sam Eastman was playing on lead guitar, and it was a great lineup. We played a couple shows before everything shut down, and all my songs were sounding the best they've ever sounded.
Hmm.
So we were on a roll. We were playing shows, getting a really good turnout, and then we went in to record Long Distance, my single that I just
Yeah.
released. Um, we were recording it on, I think, March 13th. So it was
Like the
yeah.
day it shut down.
So we had played a show on Friday, which was like that was the day that they had decided they were going to close universities. They said that they had limited gatherings to 250 people. So if you go
Hmm.
on my Instagram, I have a post from that day where I say, come through to this bar. Like we're playing tonight. We're going to be well under the government allowed 250 people. Like just make sure you use hand sanitizer and all that. So Friday we played that show. We played with a touring band. They had to go home the next day because they said that they were going to close the borders. And then by Monday they had changed it to from 250 people to no gatherings of no more than 2 people. So it
Whoa.
like so fast. And I think we had shows lined up that we had to cancel, and we had done half tracking. I think we had tracked we'd done guitar, everything except vocals. And then it was just like, I talked to Steve, my producer, and he's like, I have no idea like when we're gonna be able to get you in and finish this thing.
Hmm.
So it ended up being I didn't go back to finish it until August. August, somewhere around there I went and tracked it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so it took a lot longer than I would have liked.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's crazy to think that like I think tomorrow is a year
Yeah.
since
It,
everything worldwide kind of shut down.
it's bizarre.
A year. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
It simultaneously feels like 40 years and like 2 weeks. Like March is like,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
I know, totally, totally. Because it's like you think back to the beginning and like the state of the world and just being locked on the TV, watching like what is happening, and you're seeing these, numbers spiking up, and it was all about flattening the curve. And I haven't heard that phrase
I
in about
know.
8 months.
No, seriously, it's just like we have now. There's been multiple.
Yeah, it's like humps. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. But it
So-
does finally feel. I mean, I don't know about where you are, but like the sun and it's finally coming out here in
Oh,
Montreal. So
yeah. Well, I was in California. We just moved. My family just
yeah,
moved
that's
to
right.
Nashville. So
Cool.
we've been here for like not even 2 weeks or maybe 2 weeks. It's definitely
Okay.
different here. A
Yeah, for
lot
sure.
less restrictions
Yeah,
as
I heard
far as
that the mask mandate was lifted in Texas, right?
in Texas. Yeah, we're in Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee, that's right. Sorry, Canadian.
Texas, no, but no, but where we live, the county that we're in, the Sunday the Sunday after we moved here, they lifted the mask mandate in the
Wow.
county. So you don't,
Wow.
I mean, a lot, don't get me wrong, like 90% of the stores have a sign.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like the no shirt, no shoes, no service type thing is like no mask, no entry.
Mhm.
But if you're out and about, like you can go to the park and nobody, you don't have to
Yeah.
wear a mask and all that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, and when we were in California, it was a lot tighter
Yeah, of
restrictions,
course.
but it's different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but you guys are killing it on the vaccination front. Like it seems like things are going to be like are going on a pretty steady upward trajectory in south of the border here.
Yeah, it's different per state. It's
Mhm.
it's interesting. I don't know how they're really rolling it out here.
Mhm.
But it, from a lot of the time was 65 plus. Like my
Yeah,
parents and my wife's my in-laws parents were able to get it, but nobody in our household. They haven't opened it up that much yet.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
guess in the next coming weeks it's supposed to, but we
Yeah.
we shall see. I don't have no
Yeah.
idea.
It's nice that there's kind of it seems to me like there's finally a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. We know
Right.
that like by the end of this year there will be some sense of normalcy, maybe kind of.
Right. I heard somebody was talking to me yesterday, and they said that New York I guess come April 1st, maybe is going to be doing shows of 100 room capacity.
Yeah, yeah, they're like half reopening Broadway. Like
Uh-huh.
it really does seem like there's some kind of there's a level of certainty. It's very vague.
Right, right.
But
But I mean, yeah, there probably won't be a, a Reading festival or
yeah,
Bonnaroo anytime soon.
yeah,
I mean, maybe next year, who knows, but
yeah.
not I'm sure it's not coming this summer.
No, probably not. Yeah,
Right.
I got my fingers crossed for like I'm thinking like tour summer 2022.
Yeah, yeah, totally,
But I don't know
totally,
when. Yeah.
totally. Well, then, so you were able to get back in the studio in August. How was that? Like, you had been sitting on the song for such a long time.
Yeah, so it was good. I mean, I work with Stephen Gibb at Lights Down Studio here in Montreal, and he is a dream. I want him to do all of my work forever. We have a really great working relationship. I trust him so much with all of the calls that he makes on the song. So it was good in the sense of I heard the first kind of test mix, in that in between period. And then I went back in to do vocals and then we listened to it and I was like, it's still missing something. So, and then I think we went in to do synth overdubs in September.
Hmm.
So it really wasn't until then where I was like, okay, it's finished. But it gave, I think what it gave me is a sense of confidence because obviously I was super sick. By the time I released it in January, I was like, I don't want to listen to this song ever again.
Right,
I was
right.
so sick of hearing to it. And especially, I'm so vocally focused. I was like, ugh, I don't like the way I did that note and like that
Right.
word and like that breath there or whatever. But I think releasing it gave it a lot of new life and sitting on it for that long really made me be like, okay, the goal with this single for me is to create a sound and a brand and kind of like a presence as a solo artist. And I really feel like this does it. It's got all of the elements of the things I want to say. I shot a music video for it that,
Yeah, I was just watching it where you're
yeah, that
running down the street. It's like, when was that shot? Recently?
that was at the beginning of, I think it was like the last weekend of October, first weekend of November. So we had to do it before the snow hit because it
Hmm.
was an entirely outdoor shoot.
Yeah.
So that was, so really the entire process of the single was like started in March and then everything was finished. I think by the end of November, it was like video was edited, mix master was done, like it was like
Hmm.
ready. And then, I had to wait another 2 months or month and a half or so
To
for the
release it.
to work with PR and get a hype and put it out into the world.
Nice. Very cool. Well, during this, time period of the year we've all been inside, I'm sure you have other songs do you have more songs ready to go? Like, were you
I
able to record
do.
anything else?
Yeah, so I actually just went in on Sunday. I tracked a another single that I'm going to be putting out hopefully May, June.
Mhm.
We'll see when exactly. I just have to work a few things out, but it's super different than
Okay.
long distance. It's what I wanted to do because I'm hoping to I'm applying for some grants. I'm hoping to get enough funding to put out an EP by the end of the year. I was like,
Awesome.
okay, I've got this, long distance is like such like an indie, like it rips so hard.
Yeah.
I've got these crazy guitar solos and I'm, belting really high in the chorus. I was like, I think it would be really cool for my next single to put out something that's completely kind of the other spectrum, the other side of
Uh-huh.
the spectrum of my writing. So it's just me and my guitar, and it's a very kind of sweet, quiet love song that I just did. I went into the studio, I brought my Strat. We dimmed the lights, and I did it all in one take.
Wow.
We did there was no like punching or anything. I didn't even have. I told Steve I was like, I don't want headphones. Like I want to feel like I'm like just like by
In your
myself in
room,
my living
yeah.
room. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah, it was really cool. I actually so it's a song that I wrote about my girlfriend when we first met. It's called The In Between. So it's kind of about that, when you start
Mhm.
dating somebody and it's like, I think this is going in the dating direction, but
Right.
I'm still trying to win you over and this is scary but exciting and so I wrote that about a year ago when we first started dating and we're moving in together this year and
Wow, awesome.
yeah. So and we had went to go see an apartment on Saturday morning, so just like last weekend, the day before, and it was our first viewing, and it was perfect. So we called the landlord, we put an application in, and then we had tracked. I think we had done one ghost run and like 2 full takes of the song, and I was like, okay, I need a break. My fingers need a break. Let's like have a coffee and like talk and
Or a pitcher of coffee.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Have an entire bodum of coffee. Just let me chug it. Really great for the vocal cords. But and then I got an email, and we had gotten accepted to the
Wow.
we got it.
That's
So
awesome.
I called my girlfriend. I was so excited, and then I went in and I tracked it again, and it was just like all of that energy about the kind of being in that transitional space, and the excitement and the nervousness really comes through on the take. And we listened back to it, and you're like, yeah, we got it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's just your voice and the guitar just raw
Yeah.
as you recorded it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Little bit of like reverb, little bit of like,
Mhm.
a feeling of space, but it's definitely I'm very close to the mic. It's very intimate. And I think that it really, showcases it's a nice other side to Favorite
Mhm.
Daughter and the Spectrum. So I think I'm hoping to, when I put it on an EP, get some drums on it, some bass, some strings. I want a saxophone, make it very
Mhm.
kind of spacious. But I was like, for this to kind of keep the momentum going from the single, let's put out something that really just showcases what's important to me, which is,
Sure.
uh, you know, uh, lyrics that I always say my tagline is like, I make indie pop that hurts your feelings.
I like that.
Yeah, but I listen to so many different kinds of music. I love jazz and opera and old country, and across the board, things that are important to me are lyrics that really pull at you, and music that makes you feel something. Things that are stories that are specific enough to kind of give a narrative, but vague enough that you can see yourself in as a listener.
Mhm.
And of course, I'm super vocally driven, so vocal phrasing and melody is really important to me. And I felt that this was a song that really showcased all of those elements that you can also see in long distance, just in a super different format. So I'm
Mhm.
really excited to put that out and to get people's thoughts on it.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it. And
Thank you.
I love that Canada does embrace the arts so much, as far as like you're talking about getting grants, and
Yeah,
that's a thing. Like you can
yeah,
get money from the government to create art. And
yeah.
that's like unheard of here.
Yeah, well, I had another interview with another American and they were saying the same thing. I have a lot of friends who I've met when they've come and toured through Montreal, who say the same thing. It's extremely difficult to get funding, and it's not per se easy here.
Mhm.
But I put in an application with Factor, which is a nonprofit group. It's federally funded, and they have a little grant called the Artist Development. It's $2,000, and you write them with, you give them a demo or two, and you kind of have a plan. This is what I want to do. This is who I'm going to work with. And yeah, I got it, and it was great because it pretty much it covered my recording costs, and then I didn't have a ton left over, so the music video was super low budget. It was great because I just basically, it was outside. We didn't have to do any location
Sure.
rental, and then the other shots are like in the bathroom at the end and stuff. It's my apartment. So I basically just paid all of my friends, an industry standard, $200 or whatever for the day, and I paid for the equipment rental, and that was it. So I basically, and I think that I even covered most of the PR campaign for it too. So,
Wow.
and I paid almost nothing out of my pocket for that. And then I think that the year before that, I went and played Canadian Music Week in Toronto, and
Mhm.
you can apply for a travel grant through Factor, and they'll give you $1,000 or whatever to make sure you have a hotel, and you can pay for a car rental and stuff. And I didn't even use all of that. I think we had a couple hundred left over because it's Montreal to Toronto so short. And those
Mhm.
grants, when the world is open and you're able to travel, are pretty easy to get. So I feel extremely lucky that we have Factor and Canada Council and different programs here that really value the arts and music. I would never be able to pay for all of that myself.
Yeah. That's
I
incredible that they do that.
Yeah.
The only other country I've ever heard that I've heard of yet that does that is New Zealand. They embrace it as well.
Yeah, I think
Whereas
so.
they will pay, or not pay you, but they will help you get grants. And if you're going to create a record or whatever. But yeah, here they'd just be like, no, no, no.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
You want to do what? No.
Yeah, man, that sucks. Yeah, no, I feel very lucky to be Canadian. I even, I feel so thankful for the country I live in. I was like, the favorite has to have a you in favorite daughter.
Yeah, of course, of course. I love that. Yeah, I love that too. And you guys have the best national anthem as well.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I guess
It's
it's
pretty epic.
it does have a much smaller melodic range that I find like to be able to sing the United States national anthem, you need to like be able to. It's got a
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
It goes so low and so high. Oh man. So I think Canada's definitely easier to sing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Julia, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
This is always a great question. What I like to say, I think every time is the most important thing is to make art for yourself. I think that it's very easy, especially, we live in an extremely numbers based, how many followers do you have? How many subscribers do you have? What streaming numbers are you getting on Spotify? And at the end of the day, none of that is going to be as artistically fulfilling as making something that you feel proud of, that you feel that expresses you. And then you can put it out into the world, and if people like it, that's awesome. But to make something that lasts and that you can look back on in 20, 30 years and you're like, yeah, I made something that expressed who I was and what I wanted to say in that moment, and fuck the rest, basically.
Bringing it backwards.